Hey guys, welcome to an all-new bonus round here on GameTrailers.com. This month we are coming to you from QuakeCon in Dallas, Texas for our annual show with an awesome panel of guests, including Pete Hines from Bethesda. Pete, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Anthony Birch from Hey Ash and Gearbox, great to have you here.
Nice to be here.
And Mitch Dyer, a new recruit from IGN.
Hello.
Hello, hello. All right, let's get into it. A big year for the industry, the launch of Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Lots of news coming out post E3. It seems like every day there's a new tidbit of information. Even today there was something about how Xbox is slightly increasing the graphic GPU speed of the Xbox One. Pete, from a developer perspective, you got both these machines out there talking things up. What's your read from personally as Pete Hines on how these systems are doing in terms of generating buzz amongst gamers and the industry?
Good question. I think there's still some stuff that we need to see before that's all sussed out. I think it's unquestionable that in our read of it, that the Sony folks have done the most to get folks excited about what they're doing. We talk a lot in our business about first do no wrong and avoid the negative. I think Sony's done the best job of avoiding the negative.
Yep.
Microsoft maybe not so much. I'm not saying anything that isn't easily readable out there. They've just had some issues with used games and always-on connectivity and all of this stuff that, quite honestly, didn't go over, I think, as well as they thought. And they had some good business reasons for doing it, but it hasn't been quite the reaction, and it feels like they're still trying to make up ground, reaching out to indies and letting them know they're going to be part of it, stuff that Sony sort of had front and center at their press conference. So, certainly feels like Sony's got a pretty good amount of momentum right now.
Absolutely. One thing I think about Xbox One, Anthony, is they're now reversing a lot of things. People are dubbing it Xbox 180, and that's sort of like they're changing everything that people didn't like. But can they win back the trust of the gamer? Because right now, to me, it feels a little weak in that they're sort of saying, "Hey, we're going to do whatever you want." It's like we want to win you back. But what do they need to do to really earn the trust of gamers at Gearbox and people in general?
Wait a while. I think we have very short memories when it comes to stuff like this, and right now we're going, oh man, they're all, they're just gonna 180 and everything, and how flip-floppy they are, and then maybe in 3 years they'll be like, oh cool, they listened to their fans, and how nice of them to actually sort of pay attention to what their fans wanted. That's not what you usually expect from a big, giant, multinational corporation. So, as far as I'm concerned, if we just wait a while, the exclusives will kind of determine where our loyalties end up lying.
And part of it, I think, is also going hands-on with the systems, because even Xbox One, I think there's a lot of cool stuff they're doing with the switching between apps and games and all that. But no one's actually gone hands-on to experience that yet. So, Mitch, when gamers get these boxes in their hands, this holiday season, do you think is there going to be much difference between these systems? John Carmack was here at QuakeCon saying, hey, they're basically similar systems in terms of the architecture and sort of horsepower. So what's the difference going to be, Mitch?
Software. It's what Anthony said, right? It's going to be all about exclusives. It's going to be the defining titles like Infamous and Titanfall and all of these titles that are going to be unique to the platform. But you also have stuff like Kinect on Xbox One, which I think people are really underestimating. That is an incredibly powerful, incredibly interesting piece of hardware that developers are going to be able to do a lot of interesting things with.
Sorry to interrupt you, I haven't seen any games yet, really, that show that off, right?
Sure, and that's what is exciting about it to me, is that there's stuff coming. When Kinect 1 came out, there was all this potential about okay, cool, there's bad stuff now, but it's going to be cool later, and it never really got there.
Is it coming this time, though?
I would assume so.
You trust
I'm having good faith.
You're still a believer.
Yeah, for me, it's not even about the software and Kinect lining up. It's about what else Kinect can do, right? It's about chat. It's about jumping between the operating systems to use your different interfaces, like the Snap thing or whatever that Xbox One has. All of those features are really interesting to me.
Right. Now, when we get into the holidays, gamers are going to have to make a choice between these two systems. And one of the things that I've been thinking more and more about is there are a lot of great games coming out for the current systems this holiday season. You've got GTA in just about a month here. You've got Assassins, Call of Duty, Battlefield. All these big games are coming out for the current systems. I know you guys are doing Wolf, which will be coming out next year, but that's across both systems. So to a gamer, what's going to be the reason to upgrade? Because a lot of the big games this year are going to be available on your current system. Pete, do you think that's going to make some people say, hey, maybe I'll wait till next year?
I kind of feel like that the folks who are gonna get it are getting it because that's how they're wired.
Right.
I'm standing in the Sony parking lot before the conference, pre-ordering both consoles, just because that's how I'm wired. And you know, you read that Microsoft and Sony both talking about selling out pre-orders at retail,
Right.
and how many units they're going to be able to put out. I think at a launch, what you're looking at is it is a finite number of consoles. It's not like, well, anybody who wants to get one is going to be able to. So you start to look at the numbers that they're going to be able to make. They're going to sell all those out just because there are early adopters and folks who want to have the next cool thing and to try some of these new features. It's not the leap that we saw last time from standard def to high def, where it's like, well, yeah, I got to have that because graphically it's just so much better. It's a lot of smaller little things that sort of add up, but I think all of those folks are already kind of on board. I think the big thing is going to be after that. After you get through that initial wave and you start getting into converting people who are the later adopters starting next year, who are trying to decide, is this something I should, I got all these gift cards, I got all this money from grandma, like, am I spending it on a PS4 or am I just going to spend it on games for my PS3? That's really where you're going to start to see the battle emerge.
All right, guys, hold that thought. We're going to be right back here in the bonus round.